a little bit later than normal, but tonight is Sunday night, and that means another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. This time, episode 29. We're going to get started with that right now. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to the Auburn Experience podcast live recording. Myself, your host, Kyle Loomis. And no, that is not Austin Scott down there below me. We got a new setup and a new face tonight. Welcome, Thomas, to this live recording setting.
War Eagle, everybody. How are y'all this evening?
I'm doing well. It's good to sometimes have a fresh face in front of you to talk to. As much as I love Austin, I love him dearly, but he is tonight. For those of you that are wondering, and we'll address this when we start recording in just a little bit, he is not in baby mode right now. At least that was the update that I had 5 minutes ago or a few minutes ago. It is more so severe weather that is rolling through the southeast right now. In fact, may hit me at any point, so that could get things a little bit interesting on our end here too. But hopefully we won't run into that. He is just he has no power tonight and will not be able to join us. So hopefully we'll have him one more time before baby time arrives for Mr. Austin. But in the meantime, we are very thankful for Thomas to step in and hang out with us on Auburn Experience. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Now, Thomas, you guys have gotten to know for quite some time, so he's been in the chat a lot, so please do. If you've got questions for him specifically, you've got him right here, right now, so go ahead and post those right now if you've got those. Normally take about 5 minutes or so before or right after we get on to just kind of chat it up and say hello with you guys. Start us off with the normal route of just smashing that like button. All those different things that you can do for us and let us know that you are here live on the air with us. And if you've got any, obviously, comments or questions about that. Elliot says, are you okay? I don't know what that means, but here, and I'm learning things about the new setup. I just noticed that it's going to cover you up if I put the if I put the questions up there. So sorry about that. If he's asking if we're okay, I hope we are live right now. I'm going to double check that. We're troubleshooting as it says we're live on everything, but I'm making sure that it does not show that we are live right now. Wait, hold on. Why are we not live right now? This is interesting, folks. It says that we're not live, but we are. That is the weirdest thing in the world. Let me double check something. No, it says we're live. This is the weirdest thing ever. See, you're getting to see me troubleshoot behind the scenes now. WT now is checking in, says War Eagle from Pelham, Alabama. You seem live to me. There we go. Okay, so it's just some type of glitch on my end that's not showing any streamers live. I see.
I'm looking at it over here, and we are live.
I know that was the weirdest thing. So, Elliot, I don't know why you're asking if we're okay. He panicked me there for a second. It was like, oh Lord, this is just going to be one of those nights in the weather, and then I look like a hot mess in front of our new guest here. So, Thomas, this is just how it goes sometimes, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
I'm trying to think of anything else that we haven't caught up with you that we're not going to talk about in the show about. You and I caught up about a little bit beforehand. You're going to be going to A-Day. Officially now, so happy that you and I are going to get to meet up.
Absolutely, man. I'm really looking forward to it. A-Day is a great chance to scout the team, so to speak, to get out there and watch guys. I mean, they're running plays against each other. It's competitive, but it's not SEC competitive. But you kind of get a good idea of what's going on, who's going to be where. But Hugh Freeze did say that there's not any set depth chart at this point, so. A-Day is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be my first one in many, many years, but fall camp's where it's
at. I figured that's what you might say. We got Brian checking in. Elliot was asking if we're okay in the weather. Right now, I'm fine. I think Thomas is okay too. He's below the bad stuff for the most part. As far as I know, we're supposed to be okay outside of just a little bit of wind and rain and stuff like that. But obviously, prayers and fingers crossed for that to hold throughout the rest of the night. WT is celebrating. We're probably going to mention this in the show. UA is out. No Final Four for them. What a good weekend. I think we're just celebrating that just a little, not too much. I shouldn't say that, but I feel like it's made us okay with our results in the tournament now, maybe to some extent.
we made it to the tournament, which is my standard. I'm not a huge fan of the regular season in basketball. It's what are you able to do in the tournament? But on the other side of that coin, Bama losing makes me want to invite people over to the house and cook food.
I love that. I do love that. That's pretty cool. All right, so we're sitting at about 5 minutes right now. So we're gonna go ahead and move into our record period. As a reminder for those of you that may be new, but obviously our veterans help manage things in the chat. We will probably most likely not be interacting with you guys a whole lot during this recording. But feel free to have conversations because we'll come back at the end, or at least I will. Thomas is welcome to stay. He'll make that decision when we get done, and I'll chat with you guys a little bit more. We're going to hit 3 major topics. The first one being a little bit of Auburn potpourri, where we just kind of bounce around a little bit. Second one's going to be March Madness. KT Harrell, former Auburn player, getting to go to the Final Four, that type of talk. And then segment 3 is going to be all about Auburn Pro Day and Cam Newton coming back down. So we got a wide variety of things to hit, and we're not going to be able to do justice to all of them, but we're going to do our best. So Austin, that's going to be weird. Thomas, if you're good, I guess I'm good. Are you ready to go?
War Eagle, baby. Let's ride.
Let's rock and roll with it. Starting in 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. It encompasses a wide variety of people, yes, even different places and things, but at its heart, at its core, it is all about our sports, it is all about our culture, and it is all about our family. And because it is all about the Auburn family, that means we've got to have people here on this show. You've got myself, your regular host, Kyle Loomis, and of course, I have a co-host with me all the time. But this time, folks, for those of you watching, you're already seeing this. For those of you that are listening on the audio podcast, you're just now finding out that we've got a guest host tonight for the very first time on this particular podcast of what we do. Thomas Manville, one of our Patreon members, is here hanging out with me and is a guest co-host for episode 29. And I appreciate you, Thomas, so much for filling in tonight.
Absolutely. War Eagle, Kyle.
It's going to be a fun night of discussing things with me. Let me address the elephant in the room. For those, everybody knows we've been talking about this and hinting at this, that Austin would be away from us for quite some time when his babies were due. I can tell you tonight that's not the case as far as we know. However, he did have severe weather. He's completely fine, but they are without power right now and is unable to do the live stream tonight as he's trying to make sure everything's good there. So he regrets to not be here tonight, but he gives Thomas a chance to kind of fill in and give us a new flair and a new taste and new perspectives of things. So it's kind of a quick dry run, I guess, of what's going to happen when he actually does go on paternity leave, if you want to call it that. Here on the Auburn Experience podcast. So, Thomas, I'm sorry that if I call you Austin several times tonight, it's probably going to happen.
It won't bother me at all, babe. It won't bother me.
Look, it's just one of the things that has to happen when I get used to seeing a new face here. So we'll work through that tonight. But let's go and jump right into it. A little bit of Auburn potpourri to start off the night. I'm going to throw us out there with the very first topic. We like to go all over the place, sports or non-sports. I'm just going to throw a non-sports out there one first. If you are a frequenter to Auburn, you're about to get a new amazing stop officially. Buc-ee's is opening up April 10th, the same day as A-Day weekend. Thomas, are you a Buc-ee's person? Are you familiar with it? You know what the hype's about?
I'm incredibly familiar with it because they built one in Leeds right off the exit that I live off of. And man, let me look. It's a whirlwind. You are not going to be able to experience it fully the first time or the fifth time. It, buddy, buckle up. Buc-ee's is it's different.
It is a world unto itself, and some people are obsessed with it, and other people are just kind of like meh about it. I kind of fall just over the meh about it. Like, I am fascinated more about how people are just so fascinated with Buc-ee's. It's pretty comical sometimes.
It is, but I'll say this. Look, sometimes Walmart has a gas station out front of it too.
It's going to be a huge asset to Auburn in general. People coming through going to be yet another reason for people just to stop and maybe even take a look at Auburn for a second. A lot of people, if you're not coming for the sports or something like that, or didn't graduate from there or not from the region, you may just blow by Auburn, but it'll be another reason to stop. It'll obviously be a humongous thing for them on tailgate. Can you imagine how much revenue they're going to do on football Saturdays?
Man, look, the Bucky's down by the house has barbecue smokers chained up around the perimeter of the building. You can go buy a giant barbecue smoker for $400 and get gas and get food and get decorations for your tailgate at the same time. It's gonna be massive for the community of Auburn. But if people stop for the Bucky's and they stay a little bit longer for Auburn, we're fixing to gain a lot more fans.
Hey, look, those of us that frequent are just happy to have yet another place to either gas up, to fuel up. I love some of their food there, so it's going to be a much frequented place for me when I come to Auburn and pass through to see family and stuff in Montgomery. But let's bounce over to another topic here, more sports related. A big thing, and I know something that you love to talk about too, recruiting. We got another splash in the recruiting wave that is Hugh Freeze right now. Got his running back for his 2024 class, that being, I believe I'm pronouncing this correct, Jamarian Fat Burnett, as he likes to call himself. PH Fat is his nickname, as a new commit to the Tigers. What you think about it?
Look, Fat Burnett, I am so excited that kid's going to be a part of our team in the next couple of years, because he is coming in with Walker White. He is coming in with that particular recruiting class that they are on fire on social media bringing people in. But Fat Burnett, he's a big dude, man. He's 6'1", 210. There are other people that have projected him to end up around 230 pounds, which is bigger than Ronnie Brown. That's more Bo Jackson size.
Mm-hmm.
Not Bo Jackson skill, Bo Jackson size of the 6'1", 230 range. But if we got a dude, if we got the offensive line that Auburn truly needs, and we have threats in the passing game, and a running back that's 210, 215, 220, even on the high, the heavy end, 225, somebody who can come in there and bang it in between the tackles, that's serious, man. That's excellent recruiting. That's somebody that's durable throughout the course of an SEC season. That's somebody that's big, strong, and the guy is fast too. Golly, watch his tape. The guy is absolutely fast.
Yeah, he's got speed. He's got a little bit of size with that, so those can be very potent things. There was one individual, and I don't know who to credit for saying this. I believe it was on our YouTube channel in a comment that equated him, and this is going to be a name that's taboo on an Auburn channel, but a Derrick Henry-esque type of back. Got some size, but also got a little bit of deceptive speed. I didn't necessarily agree with that, but I saw the route that he was going. Ronnie Brown is more an apt, type of description, and it's a more appropriate description for what we feel comfortable with talking about here. The big thing for me is this is a stacking of this particular position of talent, that you got the next guy, whether it's because of graduation, because of injuries, whatever, or attrition, ready to go in terms of perceived talent, right? So you've got Jarquez Hunter, you've got Damari Alston, you've got Jeremiah Cobb, and I'm leaving some out, I'm sure, but you've also got now Jamarian Burnett coming in behind here. Now he's not here yet, and he has to obviously follow through with his commitment, but that's a huge thing.
No, you're right. It is. Well, Coach Cadillac does an incredible job of bringing guys in, making them feel like they're loved and wanted there, because he does love them and want them there, and he does a killer job. But after watching tape, man, Cobb's good, Damari Alston's good. I think Fat can slide in for playing time in the next 2 years and probably get a leg up on at least one of those guys. I mean, just flat out looking at the tape, I think he can.
It's possible. And the great thing is here is Auburn has got a wealth of talent at that position. Obviously, if he follows through with his commitment and everything like that. So you should feel really good just about commits and recruiting in general right now with Hugh Freeze, but especially at that running back position. Last thing that I want to hit in our Auburn Potpourri segment, we have got a new SEC championship, and that is 5-time SEC championship in a row. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. Well, that was terrible on camera. I couldn't get my fingers up in time. But 5 times in a row, Greg Williams and your Auburn Equestrian team have dominated the SEC. Can you say dynasty, Thomas?
Absolutely. You better believe I can. It's I married into an equestrian family, so I've gotten into equestrian through that. And man, let me tell you, Auburn's my team, so I started pulling for them, and I get to watch these things. I get to see, and I understand how the horses move and how the rider moves and how well. Like it's a different sport, man. If you didn't grow up in it, it's hard to get into it. But I have a total appreciation for the equestrian sport, and man, if Auburn's winning, buddy, I'm watching.
Absolutely. And they are winning a lot over there at that equestrian center, Greg Williams. And every year he just seems to put together a great staff, a great team, and puts out a great product there for Auburn fans that I think is still, and it's weird to say this, that it's still underappreciated. And look, we understand why. Everybody looks to football, everybody looks to men's basketball, to gymnastics now, and baseball. And to some extent softball and some other programs that have really risen up over the last few years. But I still feel like, it is a bit of an odd transition from all of that to equestrian. But folks, it's free to go to these meets. Obviously the season's almost done because they just did the conference championship, but you need to value and appreciate what you've got in this, because it's not often dynasties happen at Auburn, and you've got one right now. Now let's hope that they can pull through and get that national championship. But we are thankful with 5-time SEC champions, Auburn Equestrian, and that's a great way to round out Auburn Potpourri. Let's talk about our first big segment tonight. We're going to talk some basketball. We're going to get to some football stuff. We're still in March Madness. And so let me just open it up since we've got a new guest here in Thomas. How's your bracket doing, Thomas?
the one I refused to fill out this year because it just looked awful from the start. Yeah, I didn't even attempt the bracket this year, but
you made a good choice.
Oh man, if I would have tried, day one would have just been carnage. Absolute carnage would have been terrible.
It is awesome, but also frustrating at the same time. I've said it here on this podcast. I've said it on any other thing that we've done here at the YouTube channel at E2C Network about how awful I have had a time in this bracket contest that we've been doing, but just in general. And so I love it, but I hate it as well at the same time, how like ignorant it makes me look about how I didn't see some of these things coming. And the sad thing is too, and I know we'll stop talking about this part of it, but I second guessed myself, and I would have called some of these, not all of them, not a lot of them, but enough of these big upsets. And I just, you're frustrated at yourself sometimes. But let's talk about the Auburn aspect of this. When I say the name KT Harrell, that should bring up some big feelings for Auburn fans. If you're not aware, he is with the FAU Owls. And if you're not aware, if you're not following March Madness, the FAU Owls are in the Final Four as a 9 seed for the very first time as a program. I believe he's the director of basketball operations, which would be equivalent to Chad Pruitt here. I think I got all those titles correct and, equaling things out there. But obviously, Thomas, we're going to latch ourselves on to the Owls and start, flapping our little wings in honor of KT Harrell, right?
Yeah. War Owls, baby. Let's ride.
I don't know that I can get on board with War Owls, though. That feels a little. War Horses is a stretch for a question, but we make it work. War Owls, I don't know. That just doesn't flow as well as I feel like it should.
Hey, how about War Eagle KT?
Hey, listen, it's got alliteration in it and all those good things, so I can get on board with that. But I know that KT's been not part of the program long enough that people have lost a little bit of familiarity with him. How familiar are you personally with what KT did and was part of the Bruce Pearl area?
I knew he was a part of the basketball team, and I didn't follow it as closely then as I do now. Prior to Bruce Pearl, it was somewhat difficult to follow the basketball team, but when Pearl got here, and then we're seeing these guys come in, and then he worked for us as well. Like he's just an Auburn guy, and I want the absolute best for him. So yeah, I'm pulling for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Auburn fans will do this, and I had a conversation with somebody on social media about this. Just kind of, it was like we were both agreeing with each other. Just it's crazy how Auburn fans will latch on to someone, whether they're still a part of Auburn physically or directly anymore. Whether that's, let's throw out Sal Cannella in the XFL right now. A lot of people will hype him up for some good games he's had there. It doesn't have to be sports. Octavia Spencer, is a great actress and has won several awards, and you'll still see her, putting out War Eagle tweets and things like that. Just the way that we all celebrate each other, even if it's not directly helping Auburn. I love that. And so you got to love KT Harrell and the FAU Owls. Just the story alone. You don't see a 9 seed going to the Final Four very often, if ever. Did you see this coming?
No, not at all. No, never saw FAU getting this far into the tournament, especially when I looked at the first projection of the field of 64 and then the actual field of 64. But yeah, never saw them going that far. But to speak back on your point about KT Harrell and Octavia Spencer and these Auburn people and graduates, people who've been here and love Auburn, is I believe in Auburn and love it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what we believe in our hearts to a certain extent, is I believe in Auburn and love it. Therefore, we're going to pull for these people. Because we're a part of the Auburn family. That's what we do. And that's what makes us different than any other university in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, I would agree with you. There does seem to be a certain level of just continuing of that relationship that, yes, it does happen in other schools. I'm not going to sit here and act like we have some exclusive rights to that, but it's a different thing. And that's why when we always talk about trying to define what it means to be part of the Auburn family, it's so hard to, because it's deeper than just I graduated from here. I've been a fan of this place my entire life. It's deeper than that. And so that's why when we see a guy like KT Harrell, who paid his dues as a guy who was here for 1 year with Bruce Pearl, and that the time leading up to that was not great. That first year under Bruce Pearl, other than the excitement of having him, wasn't great either. But they had this brilliant run in the SEC tournament, upsetting. KT knocks down, I believe it was against LSU, a last second 3 to take us in overtime, where we eventually beat LSU and then made it all the way to the semifinals. It was a nice precursor to what would be happening for Bruce Pearl coming up and what he would be building here at Auburn. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. And now it couldn't be happening to a better guy of KT Harrell, who's an Auburn man. Yes, he's at FAU. He's got those different colors on. He's got flapping some different wings, but we still love him. We're still going to appreciate him. Just to kind of transition a little bit here, still talking about this topic, though, I am sad, and I think I've got it right in my head about who. Maybe I don't have the bracket correct in my head. I've tried to forget a bunch of it. I just hate that there's only going to be one team from the state that's ever made it to the Final Four. Isn't that a shame, Thomas? Isn't it a shame that only one team from the state of Alabama doesn't even get to face FAU in the March Madness at all, or in the Final Four? But didn't it just suck to know that Auburn's the only team to make it to the Final Four?
Nope. Not one bit, man.
Oh, man.
Hey, Forrest Gump said it best as an Alabama player. I think I'll go home now.
Oh, wow. I did not think I was getting that out of you tonight. That's a good one right there.
Get out of here.
Look, Alabama, let me just put this out there. Alabama had a great basketball team, had one of the best players out there, is going to go pro and probably do great. I'm not shying away from the fact that they deserved, based on how the season ended, the regular season, to be the #1 seed, all that. They proved it. But the thing is, you can only truly say you're the best team is if you're still in there. So there's only 4 teams as of this moment, 4 teams that nobody probably had in that combination, that can say that they're the best teams in the nation, and Alabama is not one of them. And yes, folks, is it petty? But we're going to celebrate it because it's a victory for us. It's a victory that Auburn gets to say that they're the only state. Well, I don't think has Jacksonville State, anybody else had some miraculous run that we don't know about, Thomas?
Yeah, well, they almost beat Auburn that time in football, but outside of that, I'm not sure Jacksonville State has much to rest their laurels on.
I was thinking like UAB, Troy, no.
Live in the NIT, they beat Vanderbilt the other night here in Birmingham.
UAB would be the only one that I would think from the state that would have had a legitimate shot at that, because they actually have been pretty decent at basketball in their history. And Alabama, look, I'm not just trying to take shots, illegitimately at Alabama. I'm just saying that UAB is not a bad basketball program historically. But we are celebrating KT Harrell for what he's doing, but we're also celebrating that there is no longer any worry about Auburn having that thing that we can hold over their heads taken away from Alabama. No Final Four for them, no Elite Eight for them. Just getting stuck at the Sweet 16, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, wrapping up this topic, in all honesty, does all of this, celebrating KT, seeing Alabama falter, does it make up for the non-progression of Auburn basketball past the second round?
No, it doesn't. We talked. I guess it was the end of last basketball season about it, and we were missing. We have tall personnel, but we were missing that big man. And Walker Kessler is proving it in the pros right now.
Yes,
we missed the big man all year long, and we missed a guy that was an absolute outside threat and inside threat the entire year with Jabari Smith. But Bruce Pearl's done an incredible job of recruiting. He's brought in a giant human being to play down low, two of the best point guards in the business right now, and he's fixing to hit the transfer portal. Yeah, we're going to lose some guys. Yeah, we're going to keep some guys. Our starting five is not going to look anything like it does now next year. It's just not.
It just seems like doesn't matter the sport, the team, the coach, the group of players. That's just the world we live in now. Things change rapidly, as we saw that they did last year. Whether they leave just going to the professional level, through attrition, through transferring, through all of that stuff, it will definitely look different. But for now, we're going to still ride out with KT, celebrate him. Hopefully, we're all talking about an FAU win at the end of this thing, because it's just fun in general to talk about. And of course, we're all going to be celebrating. No championship for Alabama this year, or much past the Sweet 16 for that matter. Let's talk about our final topic tonight. We're going to go to some football stuff. We are in spring practice, but that's not necessarily what we're going to talk about. Maybe some of that'll come in naturally, but we want to talk mainly about an event that happens every year, pretty much during, I don't think it's ever happened outside of spring practice, but pretty much during spring practice every single year. Auburn football's Pro Day. For those of you that don't know, or just casual fans, Pro Day is a day that's set aside by the football program for former athletes of Auburn, former football players, to come in and showcase for whatever NFL scouts want to come and see what those athletes have to offer them. Those are ones that are currently graduating, just graduated and about to go into the draft. And these are sometimes ones that maybe have been in the NFL, and sometimes maybe are still trying to get in the NFL. So we got all that at play, and that's big enough topic to talk about in and of itself, because there's some great performances from some of these guys at Pro Day. We'll get to some of that, but we got to talk about the big, I would say elephant in the room, but we're not elephants. We're the big tiger in the room, back in the room, Mr. Cameron Jarrell Newton, back in his home at Pro Day, trying to find a place back in the NFL. Just your opening thoughts about that headline, Cam Newton at Auburn's Pro Day.
I can guarantee you the room was a little bit brighter and a little bit more, I've got to be better, as soon as he walked in to throw for Pro Day, because he's an Auburn legend. He played in the league. He's there with other Auburn guys. They had a lot of alumni guys down there during Pro Day. But man, like if you're in there and you're going, I'm trying out to get into the pros. Oh man, Cam Newton's beside me. You don't blow that off. Like you're going to tense up just a little bit at first, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I can appreciate it, as I've never had the opportunity to play football for Auburn or even be in the pro day. But I can imagine what that brings out, and so almost sometimes like intimidates you if you're out there trying to, but there was also this element I feel like too, and I think Cam did a good job of managing it. Is like, why is he here? And most of that was from like outside noise that don't really get that people like to come back to Auburn and people like to come back and be involved. And if it helps you along the way, great. So Cam Newton's trying to get back into the NFL. Did not play this season after being, I don't know, was he let go by the Patriots or did he just not sign? Like, was it a mutual parting? Do you know how that worked out?
If it's not the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't follow it in the pros.
I'm surprised that's your team, but but yeah, so some version of that. He's not with the Patriots, obviously, because he did not play this year, but trying to get back in there. Obviously showed he can still sling the ball pretty dang good if that was up for question. From what you saw out of Cam at Pro Day, do you think he's shown enough? Do you think there's enough interest out there? I know you don't follow anybody outside the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I mean, just kind of what you saw from Cam. Any thoughts on that?
Knowing what I know about him in league play in professional football and watching him throwing, I think he's better than some of the guys that are starting right now, but he's going to need an incredible offensive line in front of him to be successful in the pros again. There is he's an incredible athlete, but there is an age gap between most of the starters in the NFL and him right now. So does he have the physical talents? Probably so. It's Cam Newton. But it's more about throwing in the pros right now at someone his size and his age than it is about running the football or running outside or extending the play to throw the ball. The pros they're just built a little bit differently than that. But I think he's good enough to get back into the game. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's Cam Newton.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's Superman.
Yeah.
Listen, I think there's probably some things other than athletic ability that are at play with Cam, whether, I'm not really getting into the details of that, but I just think sometimes the persona he puts on, it can lend itself to not being as likable, I guess. I don't really know what I'm trying to get at, but the point still stands of what you were getting to. There are several NFL teams that have quarterbacks, they're starting quarterbacks that are not as good as what he can bring to the table. And I'm really hoping that whatever issue outside of that athletic ability, or just maybe people are concerned about his injury, that they'll give this guy an opportunity. I think he's got one more stint in him. I'm not talking that he's going to be an NFL MVP again, but maybe he's got the talent in him. You saw what he can do. Give him an opportunity is all I'm saying. It was just great to have him back there with his brother throwing for him. And that was a really special thing. I want to bring this up because I saw Caylin Newton bring this up on social media. Apparently, Cecil Newton, the other brother of Cameron, not his father, but the other brother, Cecil Newton, snapped for Cam at his pro day at Auburn. And Cam, yes, came back for himself, but threw for his brother, Caylin Newton, at this pro day. It's kind of a cool little family story thing that I think gets lost in that amongst the, well, should he be there or should he not type of thing. Just a cool little, it kind of goes back to the Auburn family thing. It's just family all the way around. But what other thoughts do you got about Pro Day? Anything that you saw from other players that you heard that really stuck out to you, guys, that maybe you think differently about? Anything like that?
Derek Hall is a physical freak. So is Kobe Wooden. And how about Shedrick Jackson running a 4.25 40 when his Uncle Bo, and I don't care what the statistics in the books say, Bo ran a 4.12 and Dion ran a 4.19, and Shedrick ain't far behind both of them. Mm-hmm. That's elite speed, especially for someone that size. And I was lucky enough to see Shedrick play in high school, and Robbie Ashford as well. They both played at Hoover, which is not too far away from where I live. And Shedrick was so underutilized at Auburn, and I dislike it for the kid. I don't hate it. I dislike it for the kid, but He's a great person and an unbelievable athlete.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever got the chance to show his skill set. So I'm glad that he participated in pro day and got an opportunity to put himself out there in a way that, other than practice film, game film doesn't show his athletic ability, what he's able to do, how valuable he can be. But we all know he's a leader.
Yeah, and the great thing about having Cam Newton there is obviously got more eyeballs on Auburn's pro day. It got all 32 teams there, and so that's more eyeballs on the talent that Auburn had. Because I think if you are and listen, I'm not a pro NFL scout or anything like that, but I can appreciate from a human level. You see, Auburn had some struggles this year, and like, do I really need to send my guy down there if we're really not interested in this particular position that they have to offer? Who's coming out right now? But when you got Cam Newton out there, you send your guys, and it got them a look at Shedrick Jackson. Obviously, Derek Hall, Colby Wooden, Owen Papo, all of those guys, Anders Carlson as well, to make sure that he's all still healed up. John Samuel Shanker apparently turned some heads as well. But to me, I agree with you. It seems like Shed is the one who helped himself the most at this pro day in terms of perception, in terms of just raw talent and showing what he can do. Let me throw this comparison out to you. I know you don't follow anybody outside the Steelers, but I think you're aware that Darius Slayton is over there at the New York Giants tearing it up a little bit.
Yeah,
well, for more than we thought he might. How about that? Just more than we thought he might. Is that fair?
Gosh, based on the staff that developed him, I was so high on him when he was at Auburn, but I was so fearful when he got to the league of what would happen. Same thing with Sammy Coates coming to the Steelers. We had high hopes, and I went, what happened here? But yes, Darius Slayton is a different animal, and I don't like having to play him.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to play him either because he's not your elite wide receiver yet in terms of, OBJs, all those type of names out there, the go-to guys. But if you don't lock him down, he will tear you up for a touchdown in a heartbeat and run away from you as well. He's pretty fast. So I bring that up to say, to me, my hope is that type of story for Shed, a guy overlooked, maybe not utilized the proper way for whatever reason, finds his home and his purpose and his just place where he can thrive in the NFL. And it would be a cool story to kind of see that come full circle again. Wish it had happened a little bit differently at Auburn. And he was, for the most part, our go-to wide receiver. Just didn't always work out that way at times with passing and all that, the way it's been the past few seasons at Auburn. But we're wishing him well, all these guys well. And I'm so glad that 32 teams got a look at him, many others, and doesn't hurt that they got a little extra look at Cam Newton. So we're going to be rooting for him and those guys as they go to the NFL and seek hopes at the professional level. That is going to do it for episode 29. Again, I want to extend a humongous thank you to Thomas for stepping in for Austin, who we hope has power again after all the storms going there. I hope everything's good there. He's good as far as we know here on our end. I just talked to him recently, and he hopes to be back for one more time before baby watch ends for him. But Thomas, if you want to plug anything or just kind of sign off any way you'd like to, this is your floor.
Absolutely, man. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. War Eagle, everybody. E2C for life. Y'all have a great evening.
I appreciate you saying that. You can follow me on Twitter personally at Kyle Loomis24 and follow the E2C Network literally everywhere that you can get content, every social media platform out there. If it's not out there, let me know about it and we'll think about it. But until then, thank you for tuning in to episode 29 and being with us here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. War Eagle. And cut. Good job. Thomas is a pro, guys. Is he not? Thomas, do you want to hang around with us for a little bit or do you need to run?
Let's hang out, man.
Okay, well, let's go back in here and say hello to the folks again. Don't be shy. Post comments and questions. We'll probably go through a few of the ones here, and I will try not to cover him too much with the comments because the new setup I have does that. So I'll have to adjust that the next time we have Austin or someone else on, move them up a little bit. Devin thought it was cool to have Cam there. Devin asked, why do schools hold a pro day when there is an NFL combine? You want any thoughts on that? I mean, I think I know why, but any thoughts on that, Thomas?
Sorry. I was checking for other comments real quick because everything is on the wrong schedule here.
Yeah, a little bit
So
off there.
thought it was cool to see Cam there. Uh, of course, it's always good to see Cam at Auburn, right?
Yep, right.
Um, it's he's probably the most dynamic college football player since Bo Jackson,
Yeah,
and we're lucky enough to have had both of those at Auburn. Like there have been great guys and all that, but Cam Newton was special. He came in for 1 year and changed college football by his dadgum self.
right.
And we watched it, and man, was that awesome!
It's kind of like someone makes a big enough splash, and listen, we all know that the scandal that really wasn't that much of a scandal that happened while he was here, and that also helped elevate his platform for not so good reasons. Nothing really that he could do about that part of it, but if you talk about like a Tim Tebow, that became more of a personality than just the athlete and got that much attention thrust upon him. And they were very close together too. So that would be like an equivalent. I think it would be a fair comparison.
And funny enough, you mentioned in Tebow again, Hoover High School where Ashford played, and who I was just talking about. When I was in high school, Tebow, the school that he played for, came up to Hoover and played on a Saturday. So we had our Friday night game, and a bunch of us went to go watch Tim Tebow play because his name was a brand at that point. And he was still in high school. But then this Cam Newton guy comes along, and it's nobody really in Auburn culture knew him at that point. And then he shows up, and it just explodes. But yeah, like you're saying, they're an entire brand, and Tebow was big for his reasons, and Cam was big for his reasons plus his athleticism, and both of them were. But I hate it for Cam that's why he got big at first was, oh, there's a laptop involved. Somebody dropped a flip flop in the pool, and it just went from there. But the guy's still an Auburn guy.
Yep.
He came from here. He bought into the culture. He loves it. He's coming back for pro day. He could have gone anywhere else in the country to throw for pro day, but he wanted to come back to Auburn, and that says something.
It really, it really does. I got to agree with you on that one. Corey just got here. By the way, sidebar for me and Corey. Corey, that email you sent me, I'm going to get back to you, but send me that application to download and view that video that you sent me. I know this is completely makes no sense to anybody else because I cannot access that for some reason. Whatever application I use to view that video, do that for me if you can. Back to Devin's other question. Why do schools hold pro days when there's an NFL combine? It's a great question. My perspective on this, and you can share anything else after Thomas, if you have any thoughts on it. The NFL combine is exclusive, just like going to the draft is. Only so many people get it in terms of being at the draft on those days. Only so many people get an invite to come there. It's an invitation only thing. So people sometimes don't get a chance to showcase the things. So schools will do that to give them an opportunity to showcase what they can do, though, especially those that didn't get to go to the combine. But it's almost like a double whammy for people like Derek Hall and Colby Wooden and Owen Papo, who got to show out at the NFL combine as well. Any other thoughts?
No, you're right. It gives people that are going to the combine two opportunities to show up and show out in front of NFL scouts, but it also gives those guys that, well, I know you were the third wide receiver on this team and you're not in the draft, but you still get to showcase your skills, Shedrick Jackson, that will appeal to NFL scouts and NFL teams. That's a great opportunity. So and again, let's go back. Cam chose to come back to our pro day to throw. So our pro day was way more special than anybody else's.
Yeah, it definitely got the most attention out of all the pro days. You don't really hear anybody else talking about that out there. Corey's got a question.
All 32 teams came.
Yeah.
Yep. But not my fault.
Not a coincidence. Not a happenstance. There was a reason for that. Corey asked a question for Kyle. Will we ever in our life take claim to all natties that are actually ours in football? And we can give I'll take this one first, and then since you addressed it to me, I believe his name is Michael Scott Nicky. It was written a book on Auburn's unclaimed national championship. So if you want the information on that, if you have not written that or read that book, I haven't, but I've read like excerpts of it and stuff like that. I know the level of research that went into that, and he's done several like interviews when that first came out. I would recommend going and reading that to give you perspective on that. Now, to answer the question, it's hard to say because there was this really big push for this several years back. It seemed like there had been a movement towards at least claiming like a handful of them. It's hard for me to answer that because I think it depends on the administration. It depends on powers that be outside of Auburn and stuff like that. Part of me kind of holds that as a badge of honor in terms of we could claim these, but we're proud enough of who we are. We don't need to. There's that element with me personally. So it's a big question. Any thoughts, Thomas?
Oh, shoot. I'm fixing to be petty. We're not fixing to claim them because we're not Bama. We're better than that.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting
at. We always will be. Bank on it.
Yeah. With Bama having that stigma on them of all their not all. Now, here's the crazy thing about Alabama. If they just claim the ones they legitimately won outright, they're still, outstanding. And I'm like, and this is what goes to show you folks, look, when we talk about sports, winning is the most important thing, but winning can't be everything. Because look at the Alabama fans. It's not enough to satisfy them. That's the reason they shoot people their own when they didn't get mad enough that Auburn won. Winning will never be enough to satisfy that for you. We can have a much deeper philosophical question that, there as well. But to me, there is something about that blue collar mentality of we only take what we earn. And even though we earned those championships that others awarded us, in a sense, we're not going to just take it just because someone else did. Now, if we ended up taking them, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to be like, heck yeah. 1983. That's the one. That's the one that we deserve. And that is the one that I probably would go to bat for.
Is when you're an Auburn fan, there's no reason to shove history in anybody's face. We're just Auburn fans and we keep going.
Exactly. He says, wink, wink, we have 8 natties. And I think that's the number that Michael Scott Nicky came up with, that we have legitimate cases for. And I think there's even ones that we have cases for outside of that. But then you get back into this newspaper that hasn't existed for, half a century.
I'll address Corey's comment there of 2004, that national championship. The only reason we don't have it is because USC ran away with it in the middle of the night and still hasn't been relevant since.
It's hard for the 2004 thing because there's no. We deserve it because we were the better team. And the evidence shows of that, and because it was vacated, that deserves to be ours. We won our bowl. We weren't beaten and we weren't cheating, so or at least caught cheating. So that in and of itself should make us the national championships. But when you've got in 1983, both the teams that were ahead of you fell, and I think I've got my history right here. Fell, and you won yours against a good opponent in the Sugar Bowl with Bo Jackson. How do you not award them the national title?
I guess they don't like class and character and being better cooks than everybody else and prettier all around. I guess they got that against us.
Yeah. Maybe so. WT brought this up earlier. Cam to the Dolphins, your feelings.
Go for it.
As long as it doesn't hurt your Steelers, right?
As long as you're not playing for the Ravens, the Patriots, the Browns, or the Bengals. So I still get to hate Joe Burrow no matter what, right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Now, let me throw this out to you. There was at least some discussions, whispers, at least I heard at one point, about the Ravens taking a look at Cam. How are you going to handle that? That's a
You know,
tough one, isn't it?
I wish him the best, but uh, maybe he's got a cold or he stubs his toe the week he plays us, and I don't have to watch it. Uh, is what I could be hopeful for, but I don't see him unseating Lamar Jackson as much as Lamar Jackson probably needs to be unseated in Baltimore. I don't see
Yeah.
him being a guy with the offense that they have currently.
So Lamar never officially moved off, and I'm not up to date with the NFL at all. There is that still a thing that maybe he might leave?
I mean, the Ravens' turnover at quarterback since Flacco left, which is basically Lamar Jackson, has been awful. So it's kind of up to them at this point. I think the management of the team has kind of slacked off, which as a Steelers fan, I'm good with. Please keep falling down the stairs. Do your job. Do me a favor. But I don't see Cam Newton coming in and unseating some guy that's been starting 3 or 4 years in the league. I see him coming in with a team that, hey, we lost our guy. We had to draft a rookie. Now we're going to bring Cam in and build the offense around what he can do, as opposed to, can you come in here and learn this real quick and be effective at it? That's not his skill set right now at this point in his career. It's You build it around what Cam can do. You build your line, your receivers, your running game around what he can do. That's where he's at as a professional player, and that's what happens the longer you go into the league. I mean, everything Tom Brady did over the last, I don't know, umpteen thousand years was built around what he could do, not what everybody else. They didn't put Tom Brady in there and go, we need you to do this more. No, they built it around him. So a veteran quarterback, you build it around them. So if a team's going to take a chance on Cam, they're going to build it around him and what he can do.
Right. Yeah, I'm just hoping for the best for him because I like for him to have not that his last little stint there going to the Patriots and then ending that season with Carolina and having the "I'm back" thing. It was kind of a nice little story at the end, but I'd like a better ending to his NFL sunset. Is all I want. I just want the best for Cam, and unfortunately, if that's at the expense of the Steelers, I'm still going to want that for him.
No, I understand. My ultimate thought for and want for Cam is hey, I've had a successful career. Now I'm going to come work in recruiting at Auburn.
Yeah, that would be definitely something he'd probably be very good at. We got a lot of people saying, I don't want him here, I don't want him there. A lot of people with loyalties don't want to have to even have any ill will towards Cam. And I think that speaks to how much we love the dude. Other question here. Devin asks, will Tennessee move on from Rick Barnes for constantly underperforming in the postseason? They are 1-8 in Sweet 16s. Now, there's two ways you can spin this, Devin, and I think you're asking this because that's been a big conversation on social media, especially amongst Tennessee fans. You can spin that as, yeah, he's having trouble getting past that point, but he's getting to the Sweet 16 almost every season. It depends on how you define success, and if you see how hard it is to win the tournament, FAU's in the Final Four, folks, how crazy and out of whack it can be some years. If I'm Tennessee fans, I'm thankful I have Rick Barnes. If the shoe was on the other foot and say Auburn and Bruce Pearl, second round's our thing, the Sweet 16 was our Achilles heel. I'm just thankful we're getting to the Sweet 16 as constantly as we do. Any thoughts on this, Thomas?
Yeah. If you're getting to the NCAA tournament and at least a game in, you don't uproot and throw that guy away just because he can't get through the second round. You're talking about the toughest competition possible in college basketball is the tournament. And sometimes a low seed will get really hot and beat a high seed. But sometimes a high seed is just they're ready to go. It's if you're getting to the tournament, you're not a bad coach. If you consistently, I mean, what did Devin say? 8 times?
1-8 in the Sweet 16.
They're 1-8 in the Sweet 16. I'm really not upset about that as a college basketball fan. Another 2 years of getting there and no progress, probably. But you've got so many teams that can't even get to that point. Of course, you're a fan. You want your team to win, but we're more critical when we don't get as far as we think we can get than we are when we get as far as we know we can get as a team.
Yeah. Let me take a different sport and make it a couple of comparisons here. So Georgia in football was good every year for the most part under Mark Richt, for the most part, competitive, winning their side of the division, at least in the running for it, sometimes doing a lot better than that, but never could really get over the hump. I think they won like one SEC title, maybe two, never made it to the championship game under him. And they hired Kirby Smart, and at the time seemed like the dumb decision. And it was looking like it was going to be that. It was a little bit too hasty. Now it doesn't look so bad in hindsight. So there are those examples, but for every one of those examples, even with the time it took to get them to that point, there's that I would say millions. There's not that many bunches of other examples where people made the decision too quick. And so my advice to Tennessee fans, you are in the running for the SEC title, regular season tournament every single year. You're in the Sweet 16, or at least have a really good shot at making that every single year. I think it's still a little too early to be trying to throw Rick Barnes out. Just my opinion.
But I agree. I agree with you. Let's look at Bruce Pearl's tenure. He has not made it to the Elite Eight or the Final Four every year he's been here, and we're nowhere near throwing him out. I mean, there's no way we're getting rid of Bruce Pearl at this point. Now, Tennessee may hold themselves to a different standard than we do, not necessarily a higher or a lower standard, but a different standard. But Tennessee fans know what they have in Rick Barnes, and he's gotten them consistent play to a degree. And so has Bruce Pearl for us. Just we've gotten a little bit further more recently.
Mm-hmm.
No, we get rid of anybody. That's college basketball. Not every team doesn't have a Coach K.
Yeah. No, it's a different sport, as someone pointed out. Comparing football and basketball isn't a fair comparison. I get that, but I was just using the general analogy of making a change maybe a little bit too quick. And so I hear all that discussion. I just Tennessee fans, you got a good coach. You're doing just fine. You're not I think what Tennessee fans kind of, I haven't spoken to one personally recently, but in basketball, it seems like they view themselves as a blue blood without being a blue blood, and you'd be an orange blood anyway. So, I mean, that was a bad joke. But yeah, I think they just kind of view themselves a little bit higher than they should be sometimes. And right now, you're a consistently good program year in and year out. Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, and now apparently Alabama are all in the running. So nobody needs to be making a change voluntarily right now. Maybe Kentucky's starting to kind of slide a little bit. So we might see John Calipari move off into the sunset, which I will not be happy about. So Kentucky fans, if y'all want to get mad and get rid of him, go ahead.
yeah. Just bring it. Yeah, just please get rid of him.
Yeah.
Let's get the complaints over with.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts is canon. I don't know why is this a Bama fan on here, or are you just a Jalen Hurts fan? He says, talking about Corey's enthusiasm about us Freeze beating Bama in year one. Yeah, it's way too early to make serious predictions, but I love the optimism. Now, here's what I will say to his comment, and this will probably be one of our final comments we take. If anybody in their first year was going to do it based on track record, Hugh Freeze is probably going to be high up on that list, considering his track record against Saban. It's at home. Yeah. There's still, I know it's hard to believe, but there's still talent here at Auburn. And I will submit this to you. If Brian Harsin in his first year can be seconds away from winning the Iron Bowl against that Bama team, Thomas is going to have a corner area. So can Hugh Freeze with this team. But we're still far away from even that being a remote possibility.
Yeah, you're right.
You're all right, man. Take a few deep breaths. Take a few deep breaths.
But look, Freeze may have a track record of beating Saban when he was at Ole Miss, but he didn't beat him when he was at Liberty. He didn't beat him when he was an assistant at Ole Miss. So I can't rest on that. But what I can rest on is the fact that Hugh Freeze is 100% the head coach at Auburn University. Mm-hmm. He is the guy that is spearheading recruiting. And this year is not, and next year are not what we can gauge him off of. that bringing in the 2024 class and the 25 class and getting them coached up, and he's already said it, that's where he's going to be measured. And I believe him. I really do. So if we beat Bama and Georgia and LSU this year, absolutely. I will throw a barbecue. Y'all are all welcome. Let's ride. But I don't think we're going to beat all three of them in the first year.
Yeah.
If we beat one of those in the first year, I'm okay with it. If we beat two of them in the second year, I'm okay with it. But by year three, with what he's been able to do so far with recruiting and building a staff, if he can hold his staff together and keep them coaching the way they are and recruiting the way they are, we're on a trajectory to out recruit a lot of SEC schools that we have never been able to out recruit. Plus, you have Oklahoma and Texas coming in, which is going to mess up that whole side of the country in recruiting because they're all in the same conference. But Hugh Freeze is on a trajectory where, I mean, look, Saban's old. He's going to be gone at some point. Kirby Smart's not going to be gone for a long time. So if one guy's gone and the recruits aren't going there, they got to split somewhere between the state of Alabama and Georgia. And the trend that Hugh Freeze has going, I honestly think he can out recruit Georgia in the next 5 years. I do. And people are going to call me crazy. Enjoy yourselves. He's going to do it.
Yeah, no, I think Hugh Freeze finds himself in a very good position. Now he has to take advantage of that position that he finds himself in, you know, just like Ryan Harsin had to take advantage of it. He didn't. But yeah, Hugh Freeze has a lot already in his own tool bag, but what he finds himself timing wise at Auburn could be something special, but only time will tell. Corey, I did see that you sent me the link, so I will check that out later. Just give me I'll try my best to get that back to you in 24 hours. I think that's going to do it for tonight, folks. Good crowd. Thank you guys for hanging with us during a little bit of a confusion at the beginning of the show when we thought we weren't live, but we were. It normally tells me there's people live up here, and it was like, it's not showing that, but then people are talking. So I was like, what's going on? Again, Thomas, thank you so much. I wanted to say it publicly here for you stepping up tonight. Austin sends his wishes there. Thank you to everybody for letting him have the night off, and hopefully we'll see him one more time before baby watch ends for him. But Thomas, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. It was a great time. I'm always available if I can be. War Eagle, everybody.
Chances are we'll see him again sometime, if not in the chat here at some point in the future. Final reminders on your way out. We are going to have one more the next live stream. We're going to have 2 live streams this week at least. The Auburn baseball midweek check-in right after the North Alabama game. I hope you guys can join us right after that. We'll talk about that game, but specifically where Auburn baseball is at. Probably going to be around 10, depending on when the game gets done. If weather holds out, I think it's going to be good the rest of the week. Obviously, be a channel member if you can. Subscribe, all those good things. If you can be a Booster Club member, it's much appreciated. Those things help keep the lights on. You don't have to do that. You can just be here hanging out with us and spending time being part of a little family within the Auburn family. So for myself, Thomas, Austin, and everybody else that's part of this crazy little thing called the E2C Network family and the Auburn family, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us and spending some time with us. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle.